Welcome to the channel, guys. My name is Jess. So Bitcoin has seen yet another rejection from the top of the weekly range after faking out over a 2-week long downtrend and then crashing back down 4%. We're going to dive into the charts today to talk about what the recent price action means for Bitcoin on both the short time frame and high time frame charts, how bad was the crash, and what are the effects on the future potential price action, and then we'll wrap up the video by talking about total 3. As always, before we get into all that, make sure you guys smash that like button and subscribe to the channel to get regular Bitcoin analysis every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. If you're after even more content, be sure to check out my free Telegram channel, and if you're interested in my VIP channel, you can get more details over here. VIP gives you exclusive access to my personal trading setups with exact entry points, targets, and stop losses. Alright guys, so diving into the charts, let's talk about the recent crash from Bitcoin. As you can see here, the price action has been very, very choppy, but moving into, I guess, the end of the week, we had a very clear sort of structure developing, or a couple clear structures actually developing here on the shorter time frame charts. So we have our 2-week long downtrend over here, in which a break should have signaled progressive moves to retest prior highs before a retest of the range high or the all-time high at 109.5, and conversely at the bottom we had our short time frame uptrend here as well, which has currently been lost from the recent crash. On top of that, we also had a little parallel channel over here, right? If you guys remember the analysis from my last video, in which a break of that parallel channel should have taken Bitcoin in the measured move all the way up in breaking the range high to around $113,000. Safe to say though, both those structures have been invalidated. We've fallen back below the downtrend after 2 rejections here from the prior high resistance at 105.5 thousand, and also dropping Bitcoin on the weekly chart back into the range here after this deviation, and the weekly candle close is just under 2 days away. If we take a look at market data, we can see that liquidations haven't increased all that much. It's been a pretty slow last couple of days, but over the last 24 hours we have seen a little bit of a spike here in 24-hour long liquidations. So what was the cause of this crash, right? Bitcoin was just starting to get a really bullish week. We'd had some amazing breaks over really key structures, and S&P 500 was also, sort of rallying towards the end of the week. So what happened? If we take a look at the recent news, we can see the cause of the crash over here. So Trump has just, I guess, agreed to some new tariffs. I think in China, honestly, China, Canada, and Mexico, and a sort of delay on those tariffs, which, was sort of facilitating that rally as well, was denied by the White House, and so the entire market crashed. So now we're left to figure out, what's next for Bitcoin on both the short time frame and the high time frame charts. So let's talk about that and then move over onto total 3. Before we get into the rest of the video, guys, let's hear a quick word from our sponsor, BTC. We can get 15% off all of your trading fees and up to $5,500 in sign-up rewards when you create your free account using the link down in my description box. BTC is an emerging cryptocurrency exchange committed to providing you with a secure, convenient, and highly functional trading and investment platform. Available across all countries as a non-KYC exchange, get global access to over 150 trading pairs with minimal fees on both spot and futures contracts. Join today to get $5,500 in sign-up rewards and get 15% off all of your trading fees by signing up using the link in my bio or by using the code 1GG3 when you create your account. So after the recent price action and the sort of invalidations that we've seen in the short time frame charts, obviously the charts are going to be looking a little bit more choppy, a little bit more indecisive, and honestly a little bit confusing. But when we lose short time frame structures and then invalidate, the easiest thing to do to, I guess, try to continue to understand the price action and position yourself and, figure out what's important for Bitcoin in the future potential price action is zoom out and have a look if there are other available structures that continue to be important and valid on the slightly higher time frame. So we're still on a 4-hour chart here, but if we zoom out and take a look at the past 3 weeks of price action, we can see this sort of uptrend that Bitcoin has sustained throughout that 3-week period, or the last 18 days. And the uptrend also currently has perfect confluence with the end of our liquidity zone base of support here, as well as the 50 EMA, right? This red squiggly line, our dynamic level of support as well. So currently on the short time frame, that is our key bullish validation, right? As long as we remain above the uptrend and bounce on the retest of that level of support, potentially higher support over here, we can expect that Bitcoin will continue to, on the short time frame, have some sort of vague bullish narrative. Now, in that bullish narrative, what's going to facilitate continued bullish price action it's going to be, first of all, a break above our current key level of resistance. So that one is right here between $105.5 to $107,000. We can see the rejections over here in the past, as well as that rejection there from those levels of resistance that existed in our sort of prior downtrend, right? That I guess caused or became the pivot point for our crash. So in breaking above $107,000, closing above buy-side liquidity for that level at the top of this wick here, we can then expect a bullish continuation to retest the all-time high for that prior downtrend, or the range high for that downtrend, at $109.5 thousand. If we take a look at the actual crash itself on the short time frame, we can see that it wasn't actually that bad in terms of the fact that, obviously it was detrimental that we, invalidated some really important bullish structures, and it makes the sort of bullish narrative here a little bit more inconclusive, but we didn't even manage to break below the prior low in that previous weekly uptrend that we were traveling in over here, right? So even though we crashed, we didn't even push below the very first change of character level here on the short time frame charts. Again, providing a little bit more confidence that overall the short time frame charts are still very much within a bullish narrative. However, all of that does have the potential to change if we end up losing our current bullish validations, namely our short time frame uptrend, or this 3-week long uptrend, as well as the 200 EMA and this level of support here just below those structures, or the structure and dynamic support, at $100,000. That is when both the short time frame and the high time frame charts start to genuinely look quite bearish. If we move over onto the daily chart, we can see why and just how important that 100K level of support really is. So prior to Bitcoin forming the weekly range that we're currently traveling in, with, the creation of this second high and deviation over here, what Bitcoin had been traveling in was the smaller range from $100,000 to $91,000. And it wasn't until very recently, in the middle of January, whereupon establishing support at $100,000 for the first time, that we were able to actually facilitate a rally up to create a new all-time high and retest those upper ranges of resistance on the weekly time frame. And thereby that 100K level of resistance is also preventing Bitcoin from entering a higher time frame downward trajectory, where we go on to potentially retest the bottom of the weekly range at $100,000. Oh, sorry, at $91,000, right? It is a very important level of resistance. So if we fall below $100,000 though, the price action that we can expect then is a retracement to the prior low, right? That change of character level, and also coincidentally the next available level of support at $97,000 to $98,000. Below that, of course, we have the midline of that prior channel here at $95,000, which was also a previous level of support and resistance here. And then below that, of course, the range low at $91,000 with sell side liquidity here at 88.9, wherein falling below that, Bitcoin enters a macro bearish trajectory. Now that also means though, while Bitcoin continues to close daily candles above this level of support and also create these higher lows, we are still in a high time frame bullish trajectory, regardless of whether or not we're still in the higher time frame weekly range, right? So the daily chart and short time frame charts are looking bullish. The high time frame charts are still awaiting that candle close above the top of this weekly range here to signal a macro bullish breakout and prolonged macro bullish price discovery, rather than the sort of deviation above the ranges and then, eventual continuations back downwards. So wrapping up the Bitcoin analysis there, and then moving over to Total 3 to talk about the rest of the cryptocurrency market. Total 3 is in a very similar sort of position to Bitcoin, where we're still waiting for distinctive bullish price action. But overall, again, the charts are actually still looking quite promising. Particularly when we take a look at our recent macro uptrend of here, right? So we've been in this uptrend for about a month and a half now, and we can see that despite the recent volatility, which has been intense for altcoins over the last 2-month period, we have continued to print these higher lows on the charts. Now, we haven't quite retested the uptrend over here, but as you guys can see very clearly, a higher low over there, right? So essentially what we're looking out for Total 3 is, again, maintenance of our uptrends. That's our key sort of macro bullish validation right now, as well as holding this level of support here at $950 billion. That is a really, really crucial level on both the daily and the weekly time frame. take a look at historical price action. And then falling below that, we have the next available level, also being the prior low in our uptrend here, dead cat bounce level at $840 billion. Now on the short time frame, if we zoom into the 12-hour chart on total 3, we can see that it's actually traveling in a bullish structure over here, right? We have a potential reversal pattern where in breaking out of the top of the structure, our broadening descending wedge, total 3 has the potential here to break out and move up to retest the all-time high, which is the measured move for the channel, right? So that's the height. Just extend it to the 50 EMA. Breakout point, right? Roughly, that was really, really rough, but roughly that takes us to around $1.16 trillion. There is a potential that we see a little bit of a correction before that breakout though. Even though we've had a leading momentum shift over here, we've broken out of the corresponding RSI downtrend, just purely because if we zoom in just a little bit further into the 4-hour chart here, we can see a bearish structure within this, right? We have a little ascending wedge. Now, ascending wedges sometimes don't break down, but if we see the breakdown here on the short time frame and a break below the 200 EMA, that then signals a potential, area of potential move to retest this area of support, at 950 billion, as well as our macro uptrend, right? So potential point for accumulation if we don't lose those levels of support on the high time frame. And in that scenario, then looking for a bounce towards the downtrend over here, right? A breakout of our structure, our descending wedge structure, broadening wedge structure, and then a move then to retest the all-time high. Alrighty guys, that is all the analysis that I have for you today. If you enjoyed the video or you learned something, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. If you're after even more content, be sure to check out my free Telegram for daily updates as well as crypto and economic news. And if you're interested in my VIP channel, you can get more details over here. VIP gives you exclusive access to my personal trading setups with exact entry points, targets, and stop losses. And if you are a trader, don't forget to sign up down below to BitUnext to get 15% off all of your trading fees. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye!